Mixtape, the brand new game from Annapurna, had just released a few days ago, and it is stirring up a ton of controversy online. It is hated by many, and it's involved in a lot of nasty discourse, but I personally love the game, so I'm going to give you my full review and give you the reasons why I feel that way. Alright, so first things first, we have to get into the controversy surrounding this game. We're going to try to cover it real quick. There is a full-blown culture war. The game released, I didn't think anything of it. I booted it up on Xbox Game Pass. I played it, I enjoyed it. I hopped online, saw that IGN gave it a perfect 10, and all hell broke loose from that point forward. People are calling this game not a real game. They're calling it an industry plant. They're saying you don't have to play it. And I just want to say, if you feel that way, sure, I disagree heavily, and I'm going to talk about why. The game is very cutscene heavy. It's more in line with something like Dispatch or Telltale Games or something like Journey. It's a walking sim. It's an experience type of game. Leans heavily into the narrative instead of the actual core gameplay, but there is still plenty of enjoyable gameplay throughout this game, and we're going to talk about all of those sections throughout this video. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of the hate is coming from people who haven't actually played it, from rage baiters and grifters online. And that's not to say that if you did play it and you didn't like it, that your opinion's invalid. If you feel that way, more power to you. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just here to discuss the way that I felt about the game and the reasons that I enjoyed it, which we're going to get into here. Alright, so the soundtrack, which I'm unable to include in this video due to copyright concerns, is the entire point of the game. It is not just background music like you see in so many games. It is absolutely fully the focus of the game, hence the name Mixtape. I'm definitely a little younger than the 90s demographic that it focuses on. I was born in the late 90s, but I was a baby, so I wasn't really skating and listening to these bands at the time, but I've always been a huge fan of the older classics. Music can be genuinely a soundtrack to your life. It can be something that you can attach to emotions and memories, and that is exactly what this game does a phenomenal job at demonstrating. The game features groups like Devo, the Smashing Pumpkins, The Cure, Portishead, Iggy Pop, and a dozen more. There isn't a single song on here that I felt didn't fit the moment perfectly. Just all throughout all of these different moments and flashbacks and memories and gameplay sections, each song felt like it fit the moment and felt like it would be a legitimate memory that one of these characters would have. If you're someone who ties songs to your memories and you're one of those people that actually feel music when you listen to it, this game was made for and is targeted at you. One of the biggest points of discourse around this game with people online is saying that there is no gameplay, that you can just set your controller down and the game will play itself, that it's basically just a movie. I'm here to tell you that's not true. There was actually a huge variety of gameplay during the game through the form of these little mini games that you would play, through the flashbacks in combination with the recurring skating parts. Like I said, the skating sections are recurring. They felt fantastic every single time. They were smooth. You could just take in the views and enjoy the little bonding between the characters. The skipping rock section was a relaxing, peaceful moment right after some of the higher speed skating stuff. It was a really nice change of pace, and it felt like a really good moment for the characters to just sit back, relax, and enjoy each other's company and bond. And then thematically, I just really enjoyed the dinosaur theme park. That was fun. That was something I didn't expect. The kids sneak into an abandoned theme park full of dinosaurs. They're taking pictures. They're riding a couple of rides, sneaking around, trying not to get caught. And there's this really goofy section where you're pretending you're kaiju. I don't know how to say it, but you do that. You're stomping around on all the little dinosaurs, destroying everything before you have to get out of there. It's a good time. They're having a blast, and that just made me have fun, knowing that the characters were having fun. And then there was the baseball section, which was my personal favorite. I'm a big sports fan. I had just played 12 hours of MLB The Show 26 right before I played this game. The soundtrack, the sound effects, the simple mechanics, it was just the perfect storm. I had a blast with it. I didn't want it to end. I don't remember fully, but I do believe it did make me eventually get out of that section. Unlike the skipping rock section where you could just take as long as you wanted. I wish I could have played a little more baseball, but regardless, it was a blast. So these little gameplay moments having such variety, they felt like the perfect supplement to the overall vibe and the story of the game, and allowed for a lot of bonding through the characters, which in the 3-hour runtime, there's not a lot of time for. So those games really served their purpose, and it really kept the game from feeling like it was ever dragging. Alright, so now let's talk about the story, the characters, and the animation. I'm going to touch on the animation super quick. The rest of the game was in this smooth 60 FPS, and the animation of the characters was a little jarring at first for me. It was animated in that sort of stop motion, Into the Spider-Verse style. It felt a little jarring at first, but I got used to it really quick, and I actually, at the end, thought it fit the vibe of the game way more than a normal animation would. And I don't really have a way to put that into words other than I just feel that way, but overall I did like it. So then we'll get into the characters. The lead is Stacy Rockford, the resident music curator, arch nemesis of Jenny fucking Goodspeed, the one creating the mixtape soundtrack for this game. She's selecting each song as she believes it will be the perfect choice for their final day together. Then there's Slater. He's the laid-back, funny stoner kid who we all knew in high school and even beyond. That was actually me at one point in my life when I was a little younger, so I related to him a lot. Then there's Cassandra. She's the sheltered child. Her father is a cop, and she decides to join the rowdy Rockford and Slater in an attempt to rebel. Again, we all knew someone like that in high school. Characters are all really enjoyable for me. They're all cringy, want to be edgy, want to be independent and rebellious. They're annoying in the way that teenagers tend to be. They're not some multifaceted, layered, deep characters. That's not what the game wants them to be. They're just angsty teenagers, which is exactly what the game is going for, and I think they succeeded in that aspect. So the story is also not anything groundbreaking that's going to require any long video essays and breakdowns or anything like that. Like I said, the intended age demographic's probably a little older than me, but I think I'm still old enough to qualify as a target. It's about this group of friends in the 90s. They've just got out of high school, and they're preparing to spend one last party-filled night together before the real world that our teachers all warned us about forces them to go their separate ways in pursuit of work, school, and their dreams. There's not really any deep underlying message or metaphors. It's just simply a fun coming-of-age story about three friends wanting to party and get drunk one last time. Nothing more. And that's more than okay with me. I actually appreciate that the writers kept it simple and fun for the short runtime of the game instead of trying to do something profound. So I've gave you all of my positives. I'm not going to call the game perfect like a lot of people have. I did have some very, very tiny complaints about the pacing here and there, mainly when visiting each character's bedroom and exploring all these different items that led to flashbacks or memories or small talk. Some of those felt like they dragged a little. I would have preferred more of the fun variety of minigame sections in place of poking around these items and the small talk. If that's an extremely minor complaint, I understand why they did it when they did it. I didn't find anything of meaning when it was just the small talk instead of those full-fledged flashbacks with the mini games and the gameplay. But otherwise, I truly don't share the complaints of the people online currently that are lighting this game up. That's really the only negative I have about the game. So yeah, Mixtape's hated by a whole lot of people, but I absolutely loved it. This is the kind of unique, unapologetically itself passion project that I want more of in gaming. It's only 3 to 4 hours long, and it is on Xbox Game Pass, so if you're on the fence, if you're seeing all this discourse and you're not sure what to think, I urge you to go download it and play it yourself. Short run time. What have you got to lose? I mean, you're not wasting a whole lot of time on this. So give it a shot. I'd give the game a strong 9 out of 10, and I want to know what you thought of Mixtape. Drop your favorite moment or your biggest complaint below. I actually read every single one. I'll reply to every single comment. Just please keep it cordial. There's enough of the toxic discourse going on over on X. And if you enjoyed the review, consider subscribing for more weekly gaming content. Next up, we're tackling Resident Evil Requiem. That video will be coming out next week. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you then.